all of you that are present this afternoon. So I'm calling this meeting of the Leon County Commission to order, December 13th, 2022 at 3:00 p.m. So thank you all again for your presence. I understand that Commissioner Maddox is unable to attend in person, but he would like to appear telephonically. So I would like to entertain a motion from the commissioners to allow our chairperson, Commissioner Maddox, to appear telephonically. So moved by Commissioner Welch. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner O'Keefe. Is there any opposition? Unanimously approved. So is Commissioner Maddox on the phone?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Hello, Commissioner Maddox. Thanks for your presence. Commissioner Proctor will not be joining us today due to illness, so I ask that we pray for the well-being of Commissioner Proctor. Now I'd like to ask Commissioner Welch if he will introduce our guest today, who will be presenting the invocation, followed by Commissioner Welch, who will be leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It feels nice to say that, Madam Chair. I have, and thank you everybody for being here. I have the pleasure of introducing Pastor David Emmert, who is joining us today. You can come on up, Pastor Emmert. Pastor Emmert is the lead pastor at Celebration Baptist Church, which is a very prominent church in my district, in District 4, out off of Centerville Road and Killarney Way, or Shamrock. And it's I don't know if any of you have ever been to Celebration, but it is an aptly named church because it is always a celebration. And I joke around and say that Celebration is like a coffee shop with a church attached. It is a whole vibe, a really wonderful place. And they do a lot in the community. They have a lot of great events, but their probably most famous event is their Christmas program, which is called Nights of Wonder. And let me tell you, the production quality is second to none. It is an incredible, incredible show. And I did want to give you a plug, Pastor Emmert, for Nights of Wonder this year is going to be, it's December 23rd at 6:30, is that right? And then Christmas Eve, there's like 5 shows, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So I would encourage everybody to get out there if you can to see one of those shows. You will not be disappointed. It is unbelievable. So, Pastor, thank you for being here and I appreciate you leading us in prayer.
Thank you, Commissioner, and you all, let's pray together. Well, dear Father, we come before you today with tremendous gratitude. We're grateful that you've given us another day to live. We are thankful that you've given us a way to organize ourselves, and we thank you for the gift of government. We recognize that today important decisions are going to be made by this body. We know that today they'll take up financial matters. We know, Lord, that today they will appoint board members, that they'll consider agreements, that they will consider bids that will be awarded. Father, this body takes on matters that affect the daily lives of thousands of people here in this community. And so, Lord, above all, I just simply pray that what happens in this group today brings you honor and brings you glory, and that it results in good government for the people that you care tremendously about, the people of Leon County. I pray for the commissioners, Father, who are going to be making these decisions. I pray for Commissioner Maddox and his wife, Tina. I pray for Commissioner Cummings and for just the way that she cares about the good people at Bethel Missionary Baptist Church. I pray for Commissioner Proctor. I pray that he be well and that he recover quickly. I pray for Commissioner Caban as he begins his time here with this body. I pray for Commissioner Minor and his wife, Jessica. I pray for Commissioner Welch and Kim and Commissioner O'Keefe and his wife, Brooke. I pray, Lord, that you will sustain them, that you will keep them, and that you will just prompt them to lead with all diligence and provide good governance for the wonderful people of Leon County. We thank you, and I pray all of this in the wonderful name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We want to thank you for that very appropriate and beautiful invocation. Next on the agenda, we have proclamations. We have a proclamation recognizing the life of Miss Willie Mae Carter, was to be presented by Chairman Maddox. We have a proclamation recognizing Mr. Eddie Jackson's efforts as the Florida A&M University 222 Quarterback Club President, and a proclamation recognizing the 100th anniversary of the Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated, was to be presented by Commissioner Proctor. As Vice Chair, I will just take the pleasure in presenting the proclamation, first of all, to Ms. Willie Mae Carter. So if she will join me at the podium. Hello, Ms. Carter. How are you? Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. So we have with us today the daughter of Mrs. Willie Mae Carter. Is there anybody else you'd like to join you?
Yeah, I have many of the family members, your nieces and
So we'd
grandchildren.
like to ask the family members if they would join us up here. I understand Miss Willie Mae recently passed. And so we're honored to have you all join us here. Okay, the proclamation reads, whereas Mrs. Willie Mae Rollins Carter was born the child of Mary Johnson and John Rollins, Jr., in Tallahassee, Florida on November 21st, 1921. On November 21st, 2022, she celebrated her 101 birthday of a life well lived with her daughters, son, and husband Matthew in the Lake Jackson community. And whereas Ms. Carter was the oldest known living descendant of John Elijah Proctor, her grandfather, an educator and a Reconstruction politician, George Proctor, her great-grandfather, an architect and builder of homes, including the Knott House and Rutgers House in Tallahassee, and Antonio, her great-great-grandfather, who was born into slavery circa 1743 in the Santo Domingo Republic during the American Revolution, and served in St. Augustine's Black militia, and aided Spain during the War of 1812. For his service, he was granted his freedom and 185 acres of land. And whereas Mrs. Willie Mae Carter's great-great-grandfather, Antonio, worked as a Native American interpreter for the United States government, of which Florida Governor William Duval stated, and I quote, his services were invaluable to the United States at a period when no other person could have preserved the peace of the country. And whereas Mrs. Carter's grandmother, Julia Proctor Rollins, was a longtime matriarch of the Proctor clan for many years, living on Old Bainbridge Road and Rollins Point on Lake Jackson for many years. And whereas Mrs. Willie Mae Rollins Carter shared her history, oral, audio, and written with the John Gilmore Riley Museum, that resulted in 2 publications, one entitled Aboard House with the Tin Top and Proctor's Roots, Branches, and Voices. Now, therefore, I, Nick Maddox, as is written, by the authority vested in me as chairman of the Board of Leon County Commissioners, do hereby recognize Mrs. Willie Mae Proctor posthumously for sharing the story of her life of 101 years in Tallahassee for present and future generations to learn from, be inspired by, and cherished in perpetuity. Dated this 13th day of December 2022, and it is signed by our county administrator, Mr. Vincent Long, and signed by the chairperson of the Board of County Commissioners, Nick Maddox. Congratulations. Yeah. Would any of you all like to say anything? No? Okay. Okay, she wants to take a picture. Thank the family for being here. Now we would like to ask Mr. Eddie Jackson if he would come forward. If he is here. Oh. If he has family and friends, children that would like to join him at the podium. And any members of the 220 Club would like to join him at the podium? Okay, I'll let you come up a little. Okay, this is Mr. Eddie Jackson, and the proclamation reads, whereas Eddie Jackson was born on November 25th, 1937 in Orlando, Florida, attended public schools in Orlando, graduating from Jones High School in 1956. And whereas after high school, Eddie Jackson enlisted in the United States Army and served for 3 years, being honorably discharged in 1960. After completing his tour of duty, he enrolled in Gibbs Junior College in St. Petersburg, Florida, where he received an Associates of Arts degree in 1964. And whereas Eddie Jackson moved to Tallahassee to attend Florida A&M University to further his education. During this time, he served as editor-in-chief of the Rattler Yearbook and graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in economics in 1966. Mr. Jackson continued his pursuit of higher education by obtaining a Master's of Arts in Economics from the University of Florida in 1974. And whereas Mr. Eddie Jackson was employed at Florida A&M University as Director of Sports Information, Director of Career Planning and Placement, Director of Public Relations, and he retired in August 2002 as Vice President of University Relations and Executive Director of the FAMU Foundation. And whereas during his career in public relations at FAMU, the Public Relations Department received the Council for Advancement and Support of Education Silver Medal in 1992 for having the second best public relations and information program in the nation among all colleges and universities. Eddie Jackson is the author of the book, The Championship Season of the FAMU Rattlers. And whereas because of his love for his alma mater during his retirement, he created the 220, what do you call it? 220. He created the 220 Quarterback Club in 2010 as an affinity group that supports Florida A&M athletes. The 220 Quarterback Club, composed of mostly retirees and anyone with an interest in supporting FAMU, continues to meet weekly. And whereas the 220 quarterback club started FAMU's first football nutrition program in 2019 and rented a cooler facility in 2020 to keep the Rattlers cool during the month of July and August. And whereas Eddie Jackson met Geraldine Allen at the FAMU post office in 1967, while both were working at FAMU, and they were married in June 1969. They are parents of Alicia Jackson English, MD, Donald Leo English II, PhD, and grandparents to Donald Leo English III and Jackson Allen English. And whereas Eddie Jackson is a member of the Bethel African Methodist Church in Tallahassee, he's a life member of the FAMU National Alumni Association, he's a member of the FAMU Rattler Boosters, and he was initiated into Gamma Mu Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated in 1980. Now, therefore, we, the Leon County Board of County Commissioners, do honor Mr. Eddie Jackson, dated this 13th day of December 2022, is signed by Chairperson, Mr. Nick Maddox, and all the commissioners, and it's attested to by County Administrator, Mr. Vincent Long. Congratulations, Mr. Jackson. Very well deserved. Very well deserved. Okay. So we're going to stand. We'll stand for, you want us over? We'll stand for a picture. Okay. Okay, thank you. Congratulations. Congratulations. Where's Ms. Jackson? Okay, do so. Thank you again, the Jackson family and friends, very well deserved. And our next proclamation will be given to the Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. Is the president and members here? They are here in their blue and gold. If you'll join me at the podium. Hey, how you guys doing? Y'all look good. Okay. And the proclamation reads, whereas Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated, an international and community-based service-driven organization established on November the 12th, 1922 in Indianapolis, Indiana. The sorority's original intent and continued pursuit of proactive community outreach focused on greater service, greater progress. Its founders are Mary Lou Allison Gardner Little, Dorothy Hanley Whiteside, Vivian Irene White Marbury, Nanny Mae Gon Johnson, Hattie Mae Annette Doolan Redford, Betsy Mae Downey Rose Martin, and Cubina McClure. And whereas the illustrious organization is the only sorority in the National Panhellenic Council that began as a professional sorority. To this day, the mission to enhance the quality of life for women and their families in the United States and globally through community service, civil and social action continues. Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated has over 100,000 members and has chartered chapters worldwide. And whereas the magnetic Mu Mu Sigma alumni chapter of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated was chartered
on June 28, 2017 in Tallahassee, Florida. The chapter exemplifies the spirit of its founders in their respective roles as educators, advocates, leaders, and activists. This is achieved both professionally and voluntarily to improve the quality of life and overall well-being of citizens throughout the Big Bend. And whereas the Mu Mu Sigma Alumni Chapter's mission and programs benefit our community through initiatives such as mentorship programs, scholarships, and award programs, charitable giving stateside and internationally, health and wellness seminars, educational, political forums, and other local community service activities. And whereas the County of Leon wishes to congratulate members of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated on 100 years of service to local communities across the state of Florida and globally. And whereas on this day, Leon County urges all citizens to join us in thanking the Mu Mu Sigma Alumni Chapter of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority for their continued support and dedication to our community. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Leon County Board of County Commissioners that November 12th, 2022, is Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated Day. This is signed by all the members of the Board of County Commissioners and attested to by County Administrator, Mr. Vincent Long. We appreciate all your service. Congratulations. Thank you. All right, they want to take a picture. Thank you. Congratulations. All right. Thank you. And that ends our proclamations.
Madam Chair, as you make your way back to the dais, let me invite Stephanie Shoemate from the Tallahassee-Leon County Commission on the Status of Women and Girls up for a presentation.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm actually going to invite our chairperson up as well to help with the presentation. This is Dr. Cicely Brantley, and she's chair of this year's with the board. So first, thank you so much for having us today for our annual presentation among the commission. First and foremost, we're excited the sorority, we're going to contact them about joining one of our committees so that we learned something new too. But I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Cicely Brantley to kind of go over some of our reports from last year. First, want to thank Nikki Patton, our liaison here, for her help in getting us on the agenda and throughout the year. But I'll turn it over to you and then we'll tag team this up.
Thank you, Stephanie, and thank you again for having us. So to start, I'd like to just talk a little bit about what our commission has done, or what we did last year. We did a lot of work that allowed us to learn about the impact that COVID had on our community. We had several guest speakers who shared the impact of COVID in their specific areas, especially as it relates to their areas of expertise like physical and mental health, education, and economic security. One of our most notable events of last year was a town hall meeting that we had exploring the impact of COVID. We had quite a few members of the community there, lots of educators, including the provost of Tallahassee Community College was in attendance, and everyone came together to share their experiences during the pandemic. And there was lots of valuable anecdotal data that we were able to gather there. In addition to the theme on the impact of COVID, we also had a focus on JEDI principles. And for those who are unfamiliar with that acronym, it's Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. Our work culminated with doing the wrong one. Okay. Our work culminated with an annual report, and our director will show what it kind of looks like. And in that annual report, these four these are the five recommendations were made. And as you see, our recommendations address multiple areas: mental health training, as well as law enforcement crisis response, sponsoring a girls' conference, and data collection via surveys of women and youth in the LGBTQ community. In all, the CSWG has made 142 recommendations to improve the lives of girls and women in Leon County, Tallahassee. Last year's focus on the JEDI principles provided a really strong segue into this year's theme, which, as you can see here, is women and girls at the intersections, amplifying their voices, centering their experiences, and creating space for meaningful change. This new theme will ensure that we never lose sight of those women and girls whose needs are intersectional, because in reality, their needs should actually drive our efforts to improve the lives of women and girls in our community. This is a really important time for CSWG because as we move into this CSWG 2.0, we have to be grateful for many folks who worked to help us to get to this point, including having received additional funding from this body as well as the city. And with that, we've been able to welcome our esteemed full-time director, Stephanie Shoemate. And the funding will also enable us to provide programming support, event funding, research support, and tangible, measurable outcomes on the changes in women's lives using 6 dimensions of well-being. Those are health and development, safety, education, employment and earnings, economic security, and political equity. These 6 areas or dimensions are also the names of our 6 committees. And we're excited this year to be able to invite community members to join those committees. As Director Stephanie mentioned earlier, we're hoping to get lots of folks from the community, some of you in this room hopefully, who are experts in your field, who are really passionate about any of the areas I just mentioned, because we really want to bring together so many different voices as we move forward deeper into our CSWG 2.0 work in improving the lives of women and girls in our area. Lastly, CSWG 2.0 will review, refine, and update the 142 recommendations we've previously made as we do partner with several community agencies. One such partnership is with the FSU Askew Graduate School. The Askew School will be helping us to conduct the community needs assessment. That will be a tremendous step towards a digital dashboard, which is a major goal of CSWG. Why is my brain not working today? CSWG 2.0.
You have grades due.
I do. Director Stephanie will now talk a little bit more about the dashboard and some of our other goals.
Thank you, Chair Brantley. Before I go into our top 5 priorities as we head into the CSWG 2.0 for the upcoming year, I do want to recognize a lot of our amazing commissioners joined us today. We have our Vice Chair, Commissioner O'Con, Commissioner Mandrell, our amazing, yes, stand up, yeah. Our amazing program coordinator, Mary Deschler, who held down the fort during the establishing of CSWG 2.0 with OASIS, Commissioner Giacomo, Commissioner Williams, and then another Commissioner Britt Williams, and I think did anyone else pop in? No? But they are here, and we appreciate their efforts, not only being here today, but also on the work that they do. So as Chair Brantley said, moving forward on the 2.0, which we are incredibly thankful from the county and the city for increasing the funding to be able to expand our scope of work with the 2.0, there's essentially 13 things that were in the 2.0 that we know realistically we're not going to accomplish 13 things in 1 year because some of them are a large undertaking. So we are really excited to prioritize these top 5. And one of the first being is, and I come from a strategic comms background, so having a plan and an action in place before we head forward is something that's our big focus this year, to make sure we're developing a plan to take us into the next iteration of the CSWG. So really focusing in on that, and we're very excited about our Commissioner Gadimi actually bridged that gap of starting with the FSU Askow Public School, their lab of doctoral students working on that community needs assessment, and that's a brand new thing we're very excited about. The other thing is we've presented over the past 10 years 142 recommendations to the city and the county. So one of the things our committees are doing right at this moment is going through all of those 142 recommendations, prioritizing, refining, see where we're at, can any be condensed, and what's actually feasible for us and for the city and the county to participate in. So they're working very diligently at that currently. And as Chair Brantley said, and I know I jokingly opened with reaching out to that sorority, but it's not a joke. We really do want, one of the wonderful things that's brand new about the commission this year is having community committee members and being able to get people involved that are those women and girls that potentially don't have their voices heard. That is the working mother that works 3 jobs and wants to talk about employment and earnings, but also the expert maybe in that field as well. So bringing all those parties to the table. So it's a really interesting opportunity ahead of us, and we're excited about that. So if you come across people in the community and your districts that are interested in getting involved, we definitely want to have that conversation with them to see if it's a right fit on one of our committees. The other one is we're going to be continuing continuum of care with connecting with women and girls organizations. And I want to flag the first week of February is something that we're working on currently with a coffee collaboration connection meeting with all women and girls serving organizations. And we really want to be not just the big ones that we all know of, Oasis Center for Women and Girls, Refuge House, STAC, but PACE, all of the big ones that everyone knows about maybe in our community, but what are those smaller organizations that have programs for women and girls that we might not be aware of, but our community is, or it's that niche market? We want them at the table as well because they're doing some wonderful things in our community. And then our 5th one that we're trying to focus on this year is we're really, and that's with the community needs assessment, we'll really start that, is starting the research for our well-being dashboard. So really setting that standard for the state of Florida. In California, there is a well-being dashboard that we're going to be working with as a model, but what does it look like and how can we measure the life of a woman and girl and an index and a metric and check in and holding ourselves accountable with the CSWG, but also holding our other organizations and our city and our county of being able to look at that on an annual basis with those metrics of what's our score? How does it feel to be a woman and girl living in Leon County and in Tallahassee? So those are our top 5 out of the 13. One we've already kind of accomplished with expanding staffing. So thank you. This is an exciting opportunity, but we're excited about the year ahead. I know the commissioners are already working hard. We have an upcoming full commission meeting. They're always the 3rd Friday of the month, and we invite anyone of our commissioners, but also anyone in the public to come to those meetings. They're open meetings, and you can find that information on our website and on the county's website. But we'll take time for any questions or comments or anything else. Do you have anything else, Chair Brantley? Okay.
Director Shoemate and Dr. Brantley, we certainly appreciate you all being with us today, taking time out of your busy schedule to do your presentation. And we appreciate this annual report that you have presented. Commissioners, Commissioner Minor, and then Commissioner O'Keefe, then Commissioner Welch.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Director Shoemate and Chair Brantley, thank you for everything that you've done. Thank you to the commissioners for all your hard work. This is the right step for us to take as a community. Going to CSWG 2.0, I think, was necessary, and the time is right. I was speaking with then Chair Carrie Boyd a few months ago, and I'm not sure the data is still correct, but I remember during the post-pandemic period, men had relatively quickly been able to assume their previous earnings levels and their careers. But what happened, just a fact, more women than men suspended their careers during the pandemic to take care of their families. And they're still having trouble catching up. And so it's just so timely for us to take a look at the 142 recommendations, prioritize those, take a look at things anew, and figure out what we can do to help women and their families that in many cases are still struggling to recover fully from the pandemic. So thanks to you, the priorities are terrific. Looking forward to working with you. My Chief of Staff, Joni, and I will include on our newsletter an appeal for folks to contact you should they wish to serve on one of the committees. So thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you, Commissioner Minor.
Thank you both for your work and your report. Thank you for everyone who's here and on the committee. I just want to say that at least I'll speak for myself, and I'm sure the entire commission, rely on you to tell us what is the best resource to give and what's the best policy to help women and girls in our community. And I don't want you ever to feel shy about coming and asking for what you need here. I also want to thank everyone in your group and every commissioner who's doing this extra work. And I want to acknowledge that you're doing it while also putting up with the same challenges that women and girls in our community face. And I just want to thank you for that. And finally, ask you to repeat the day of the week, every third.
It's the third Friday, our full commission meetings. They're all public noticed, every committee meeting too. So we have 6 committees and then our organization and bylaws committee as well. So those are all public noticed, but the full commission meetings, the third Friday of every month.
Thank you.
Commissioner Welch.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Stephanie and Commissioners, thank you all for being here. Thank you for everything you do. I had the opportunity to meet with Stephanie yesterday. I'm very encouraged about this more robust version of the CSWG, and I want you guys to know, and I told this to Stephanie yesterday, I want you to tell me what I don't know, okay? Tell me, help me, be a resource to me, and I'm sure everybody feels the same way about the issues that may not be getting through. So again, I say congratulations, Stephanie. I think this is an awesome opportunity to really, bolster the work of the CSWG, and looking forward to some great work products. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Welch.
Commissioner Caban.
Dr. Brantley and Director Shoemate, I just wanted to say thank you for the detailed presentation. You have a great commission behind you. I see some familiar faces. And I just want to say that this is the kind of work that I believe really does make an impact at a very, very detailed level down to the families. And please don't hesitate to reach out to us if we can ever do anything to be of further assistance.
Thank you, Commissioner Caban.
Without question, this commission supports you 100%. You've got some dynamic directors. We appreciate the board being present with us today. You guys continue to do the good work for our women and girls in this community, and do not hesitate, to call on us as needed. So congratulations, tremendous work. We're very proud of you. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Cummings. And we look forward to having an appointment, hopefully pass through from Commissioner Cummings' vacancy today too, and getting to know that young commissioner on our team. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. And I apologize. I understand Mr. Eddie Jackson, who was given a proclamation, wanted to speak, and I guess he was the one person that I failed to ask if he wanted to say anything. And I think he has already gone, so I apologize. Okay, Mr. County Administrator, I believe we are now on the citizens to be heard on non-agenda items. Do we have any speakers?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have speakers on item number 11, 2 speakers, Aaron Dunlop to be followed by Chuck White.
Thank you, Mr. Dunlop, for being with us today. Will you please state your name and address for the records?
Yes, madam. Aaron Dunlap with Carlton Fields, PA, 215 South Monroe Street, Tallahassee, Florida. I'm here on behalf of Mission San Miguel Holdings Group. I'm joined with Chuck White of the company as well. And first of all, I'm here to ask that this item be pulled from the consent agenda for discussion items. And I briefly spoke with Commissioner O'Keefe earlier today. He was not willing to do that. I just want to be upfront about that. But I do want to put that out front. Second, where we are with this item is that we met with staff multiple times over the summer before bringing this application forward. And they were open to the discussion. Ultimately, they've decided to recommend denial. One thing we want to make clear is that this is an issue that dates back to an approval from 2005. This is a very particular item for this property. And what it did is in 2005, a larger development was approved. Density was shifted from parts of the property to the remaining property. That left an 80-acre parcel demarcated as phase 2 development. And at this point in time, we're coming in to try to fix the provisions of the approval, which stated that the phase 2 portion could not be developed until such a time as there was the urban service area moved. This is 18 years later. We're not talking about vast amounts of development. Really what we're talking about is between 25 and 27 units total spread out over those 80 acres. This would be part and parcel with the common plan of development in that area of the surrounding area. This would make it consistent with the development there. This is in the chair's area. As you know, the employment centers are growing out there. Second, one thing I do want to raise is that staff did bring up the idea that it's possible that this item that we're here on today would be a possibility to be part of the larger comprehensive plan amendment process fix, where staff is going through, they just recently hired a consultant to do a comprehensive plan rewrite. While I appreciate staff's optimism that that could be a solution, the comprehensive plan rewrite process has started and stopped multiple times over the past few years. And where we are now is that if, with the hiring of the new consultant, this is another 18-month to 2-year process to try to get a fix in for our client for this very limited development purpose. So while I appreciate, as I said, their optimism and them promoting this idea, we don't think it's a viable option. So we're here today to, again, the approval for this is the discussion to approve just moving forward in the comprehensive plan amendment process. This is not actual approval itself of the amendment. Thank you very much for your time, Commissioner.
Thank you for your comments.
Chuck White, and that will conclude the speakers on this item.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Chuck White. My address is 537 Frank Shaw Road. I'm the managing general partner of Mission San Miguel Holding Group. I'm a old-time Tallahassee developer, developed many properties throughout the community, including spearheading with Mr. Rosenzweig over here, the Kearney Center, Westgate projects, low-income housing, Midyet Plantation, Sugar Mill, Easton, on the east side of Tallahassee, but most important and most recently, Mission San Miguel subdivision, which is an upscale, very nice subdivision that's basically built out. And all we're wanting to do, we had envisioned all along, building a phase 2. And, 15, 17 years later, if y'all, I'm sure you've looked at the urban service area and that end of town, and it's just simply all over the place. It's gerrymandered, and I hope that this will get fixed in the future. But with the addition of the Amazon facility out on that side of town, the need for buildable lots is very significant. And you hear this from all your builders in town. The city's getting a lot of that work in the projects that they're doing, but the county's not. So here we have an opportunity to do this. So all we ask is this. We ask for the opportunity to submit a proposal to develop this property through the comprehensive plan. That's what the vote's about today. It's not about approving it. It's about approving an application, allowing us to make that application. I hope you'll rule favorably on that. God bless you, and thank you for your service.
Thank you, Mr. White, for your comments. Are there any other?
That concludes your speakers on items, non-agenda items and consent. That brings us to the consent agenda, Madam Chair. We have 2 items pulled from consent, items 10 and 5.
Thank you, Mr. County Administrator. I would like to entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of items 5 and 10. Moved by Commissioner Welch, second by Commissioner Maddox. All those in favor, just let it be known by saying aye.
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 We have Commissioner Maddox on the line.
Aye.
Thank you. It's unanimous, and I'm sorry. I meant Commissioner Minor. I apologize.
Similar in appearance.
I mean, I did say second, you just didn't hear me.
Thank you. So the consent agenda is approved unanimously. Mr. County Administrator, if you want to address those pulled items.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Starting with item number 5. Item 5 was pulled by Commissioner O'Keefe. This item seeks board authorization to proceed with the drafting of an ordinance to amend the pre-development analysis reviews section of the EMA. We have 2 speakers on this item, and I would defer to Commissioner O'Keefe.
If it's okay with the chair, I'd like to hear from the speakers before we go ahead and discuss.
That's fine.
First speaker is Max Epstein, to be followed by Ann Bidlingmeyer.
Mr. Epstein, welcome. You state your name and address. You have 3 minutes, please.
Thank you very much. Max Epstein, 1001 San Luis Road. First of all, I think this is an excellent change and we need to move forward. But I saw the words patriarch trees mentioned several times. And it's great that we're identifying these trees up front, but we still don't have any protections for them in our code. So you can cut down a patriarch tree, you can cut down an exceptional specimen, you just have a little bit extra paperwork. The Urban Forest Master Plan that was adopted in 2018 here says their ordinance is less than successful, unclear definitions need to be revised, and a lot of other things. And I see Mindy's here, so I'm very happy to see her. What's a patriarch tree? It's a state champion tree. It's the largest of its size, or an exceptional specimen, 36 inches wide or larger. Those are pretty rare trees. I mean, we have a lot of them here in Tallahassee, but so what's an exceptional specimen? Individual tree that's in good health, it's a large size, good species, age, form, or historical significance that makes it significant, right? So I have a couple requests. Number one, I think as a stopgap measure until the new ordinance is developed by the city, and I think the county should also be involved, to automatically make all 36-inch shade trees or larger exceptional specimens. That would be a good start to have them show up on these NFIs and have a little bit more regulatory oomph for your permitting folks, right? Here's the Cawthon development you just did. It only has 4 of these trees on it. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's not that many, right, on something this size. I say this not to be, political, because I've been talking with Commissioner Maddox a lot, and I think that he agrees that we need to have more protections for these sorts of trees. And this is the Cawthon house that was taken down. And Commissioner Welch, I know there are folks on your development review asking, can we save those trees? Well, you don't have the tools in your code to save them. And they are pretty much all gone, except for a couple large ones that still can be taken down at any time. Right? This is just such a small area of the overall 200-acre development that's coming. You see the important historic building. You see all those patriarch trees up there. I see some patriarchs that could have actually just been, planters in front of the Publix, right? Your next 150 only has 6 trees that would meet that definition of exceptional specimen. And half of these are going to be in someone's front yard or backyard, right, when we make this development. So why aren't we trying to preserve them more? This tree on the south side is going to be cut down when the bus station goes in. It should have more protections, just like the Fort Braden tree. And you can look here, and if the city of Tallahassee looked at 9 development sites, and they found that there were substantial losses in ecosystem benefits, minus 48 CO2, minus 39 stormwater air quality, simply removing large diameter mature trees during the development process has significant effects, right? So that's really, and they're showing, and I'm wrapping up, but it shows No matter how aggressive you replant, even looking 40 years out, they do not replace what's been taken down. So we need to be better at preserving these trees. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Epstein. We appreciate your comments. Mr. County Administrator.
Next speaker, Ann Bidlingmeyer.
Thank you, Ms. Benamar. Please state your name and address for the records, and you have 3 minutes.
3 minutes. Ann Bidlingmeyer, 1920 Harriet Drive. In 1981, I started the process of trying to draft a tree ordinance for Leon County, and we finally got one through, and then the city of Tallahassee followed suit, and I was the vice chair of the committee that wrote that ordinance. And we are losing more and more patriarch trees, and no more are able to grow back. We just don't have enough space. So the patriarch trees that you see out there now, if they are not protected, they're going to be an extinct species. The thought is if you write a large enough check, any developer can take down any size tree. And I'm beginning to think that's true. So we don't have the protections in place that we need to. I am glad to see that you're visiting the tree issue again. And if I can be of service as a citizen, I'll be happy to. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those comments. Mr. County Administrator.
I'll defer to Commissioner O'Keefe.
Thank you. So first, I really was happy to see this agenda item come up. Like was mentioned by the speakers, we know our community values our patriarch trees, our shade trees. We have whole committees, canopy road committees, and updating this proactively is great, and so I support it. But I brought it out of consent because I wanted to discuss it and suggest a specific area that staff look at and analyze. And even if they don't include it in the draft when they come back, I would like it to be analyzed and reported back on why it was or wasn't fit. And so the idea here is that I think we do ourselves and our community a favor by tightening up our definition of patriarch and protected trees and moving, which is this is already doing, moving the inventory of those trees to the early inventorying feature step of planning. And we may prevent the number of, I'm going to call them commission fights, when a development comes to the end and we have a community comes and fights to save a patriarch tree. And we're already partway through the process and we're up here saying, well, there's not much we can do. The policy is this. But if the policy is clarified proactively to protect those by default, and then we can honor what a large part of our community values by default in our policy and process. And then the only exceptions would be when we're making an exception to remove these trees. And so the idea is to support this and just to ask staff to include a specific thing, and that would be, for simplicity's sake, I would move to approve option 1 to draft this ordinance with direction to staff to research the impact of including an improved definition of protected trees and patriotic trees of all more than 36-inch wide shade trees in good condition to be protected, and to either include it or report back in the analysis on why it didn't make it.
Thank you, Ms. O'Keefe, for that motion. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion, but I did have a question.
For discussion, go ahead.
For someone from DSUM, if they could, if you wouldn't mind answering the basically idea of like, is this pretty clear in terms of the direction that Commissioner O'Keefe is giving? And is this something that we could have come back as part of the proposed ordinance agenda item?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll take that. And Nafal Azgazi, if you could come up, our Director of Environmental Management. And certainly the motion made by Commissioner O'Keefe is one we're very receptive to and very happy to bring back as part of the analysis. However, there was a few things said I think we need to provide some clarification to about the protections that are already in place. And I'd like to ask Nafal to.
Thank you, Vince, and Commissioner Minor, Commissioner O'Keefe. I was pleasantly surprised that some of the suggestions we actually do. That's what we do. We default by if you come in with a 36-inch tree or more, it is automatically protected, unless you can show us that it has a disease or has some kind of defect with it. That's what we already do. So I don't have any issues bringing it up. including that in the agenda item in the future, and they will address that.
Thank you for that explanation, and I think we all feel good that a lot of what the speakers have spoken to, we're already doing it. What in this particular item is revisiting and coming back to us with the proposed ordinance. And I think we would have the opportunity then to review it or refine it. The county administrator has indicated he's receptive to the motion by Commissioner O'Keefe, and that would be part of the plan anyway. Or is there a second to that motion? Or did you withdraw the motion?
I seconded the motion, but
okay, good.
Commissioner O'Keefe's discretion, if you'd like to withdraw the motion, with the expectation that the detail of what he's asking for will come through in the agenda item either way.
Okay. Okay, well, the motion has been withdrawn. Well, I will entertain a motion then to accept that particular item as part of the consent agenda.
I'll second the motion to accept.
I don't have a motion, I don't think.
Forgive me. We rescinded the motion. I will move to accept option 1.
Thank you. Moved by Commissioner O'Keefe and second by Commissioner Minor. Are you ready to vote? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Maddox, online.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next item.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Wait. Did you vote, Commissioner Maddox?
Yeah, I'm in favor.
Oh, okay. Good. So it passed unanimously. Thank you, Commissioners. Mr. County Administrator, the next item that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sorry for jumping the gun. I thought you were waiting for me. Item number 10, Commissioners, also pulled from the consent agenda is the ratification of actions taken by the board at your October 25th workshop on land use changes and development. And that was pulled by Commissioner Minor, and happy to answer any questions you might have. And with that, I'll defer to Commissioner Minor.
Thank you, Mr. County Administrator, Madam Chair. If you know me, I think you agree that I try to be a stickler on transparency and compliance with the Sunshine Law. I don't believe this to be a problem, but out of an abundance of caution, I'm going to bring something up. On October 25th, I was leaving the office after the land use workshop, and I saw Chauncey Haynes and Commissioner Proctor in one of the offices. Commissioner Proctor looked at me and said, "Good compromise." Now, on my way out, without even thinking, I gave a thumbs up sign and walked down the hallway to leave. Now, I want to stress that Commissioner Proctor's comment isn't an issue. I took it as a compliment, and it, in and of itself, didn't create a problem. As I headed to my car that night, though, I thought it'd be best to speak with the county attorney about my thumbs up sign. After her counsel, I don't believe it to be an issue, but just to be safe, I wanted to be transparent and bring up this interaction, and by doing so, I'm ensuring that it's resolved. And that's it, Madam County Attorney. Thank you for your advice, I appreciate it. And with that, I will move for options 1 and 2.
Is there a second? It's been moved by Commissioner Minor, second by Commissioner Welch to adopt option 1 and 2. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. It's been accepted, and I vote aye. Accepted unanimously. Thank you. Mr. County Administrator.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioners, item number 26 on your general business agenda, as recommended by the Housing Finance Authority, this item seeks the board's approval to support the proposed Lakeside Flats apartment application for federal low-income housing tax credits. The proposed project would construct 66 new affordable rental units for Leon County for low-income households. Commissioners, as shared at your previous meeting and detailed in this item, the highest affordable housing need in our community continues to be affordable rental units for very low-income households. To address this need, we actively engage at the county and coordinate and collaborate with many local partners, including the HFA and the city, on opportunities like this. For the past few years, the county has supported the HFA's Orange Avenue Apartment Redevelopment Project program for the tax credit program. We can only support one program at a time, as it's a competitive process. However, Orange Avenue, based on a timing issue with the sequence of the various phases, it enables us to support another project here with the Lakeside Flats development. And so what is before you today is the HFA's recommendation to support this project as part of the tax credit program. The local contribution that's required for a match is $460,000. The HFA and the city have already committed 75% of that match. This item recommends the county commit to the remaining 25% or $115,000, which would match the city's contribution. Local funding, of course, would only be obligated or expended if the project is awarded the tax credit. The state is anticipated to announce their award sometime in spring of 2023. With that, we're recommending options 1 and 2, and we have no speakers on this item.
Thank you, Mr. County Administrator. I have Commissioner O'Keefe in the queue, I believe, and then Commissioner Welch.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair.
Oh, hold on 1 second. Let me entertain a motion first for discussion purposes, Madam County Attorney.
That is consistent with the direction board policy for the conduct of meetings.
Thank you. So pursuant to policy, I would entertain a motion and a second, and then for discussion. It's moved by Commissioner O'Keefe, second by Commissioner Caban, to accept option, I believe it's 1 and 2.
Option 1 and 2.
Options 1 and 2. So Commissioner O'Keefe for discussion purposes.
Thank you. This is where, I don't know if you know, but last year was a campaign year. And we're out talking about issues that affect people. The number one issue that many of us talk about is affordable housing. If you read the newspaper today, you saw an inside view of what it's like not to have a place to live. And I will stay off my soapbox just to commend our group and our local government, both the affordable housing community, Tallahassee, the Housing Finance Authority, and the city and the county. This is an amazing project. It should be approved, be right down the street from me, and 66 families would have a place to live that is an affordable rent range in an area that is well suited for it. And county funds would only be $115,000 for a multi-million-dollar project. And so I want to commend the Affordable Housing Committee and staff and organizations that are coordinating in a very strategic way. The administrator hinted at it, but there's these rules that say to get this federal money, only one entity can do one application. But what we've done locally is coordinate with multiple entities that strategically apply for the best suited projects. And I'm just excited to see it and very happy to support it to make a dent, 66-unit dent, hopefully, in our affordable housing shortage. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Keefe. Commissioner Minor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Similar to what Commissioner O'Keefe had just said, I'm excited about this agenda item. It's a second step in as many meetings to help us address the issue of affordable housing shortages in this community. And we have more work to do, but this is a solid step in the right direction. So thanks to staff on working on this. Looking forward to supporting this motion. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Commissioner Minor. Commissioner Welch.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to echo those sentiments. I know this is an issue that is very important to Commissioner O'Keefe. It's a no-brainer to me, and I think most of us probably feel the same way. Very small relative contribution from the county for a tremendous return on investment if they can win the tax credit, or if I'm saying that correctly, in 2023, which, we'd like to wink at our friends across the street. Is it the feds or the state that awards the feds? Okay, wink at our friends in Washington maybe and help us out, because as we know, affordable housing is a big problem, and this is a big step in the right direction and a no-brainer for me, so I will definitely be supporting it. And I think it's a good sort of a testament to Commissioner O'Keefe's priorities and something hopefully that we can continue to fulfill and work on, because it's obviously a big need for the community. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Welch. Commissioner Caban.
I just would like to commend staff for being aggressive on providing and supporting affordable housing in our community. You know, this is back-to-back meetings where we have had small wins with affordable housing. And this makes us look good when it's really the staff going out there doing the work. And so thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I'll just weigh in too. I'm very excited about this project. I certainly hope that the county's contribution along, with the city, I think this will be a great partnership if we can assist this developer in receiving that 9% housing tax credit. So, we certainly need more affordable housing in our community, in our county. And like Commissioner O'Keefe, I'm just excited that 100% of the occupancy is dedicated to low-income and moderate-income families. So that's just phenomenal. That's amazing for a developer to make that type, dedication and contribution. So having said that, all those in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Commissioner Maddox? Thank you. Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I could, real quick.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have a comment? I apologize.
Yeah, but it's fine. It's fine. I did want to say that I wanted to thank staff for their hard work. I mean, this is just another iteration of plans that staff's been working on and implementing for years now on trying to deal with this problem. Madam Vice Chair, you were there just last week when we were able to celebrate Bethel Missionary Baptist and Promised Land CDC with the work that they're doing. And so I didn't want it to go unnoticed that staff is doing an amazing job and have been doing an amazing job since we've identified this as dealing with this problem of affordable housing, affordable rentals, and us being able to really, really dig in and say we're doing something about it. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Maddox. And hey, you stole my thunder because I was going to mention Ridge Road in the commissioner's comments, but thank you so much for raising it because we were able to celebrate the purchase of 16.6 acres of land by Bethel Missionary Baptist Church, of which I am a proud member. But that land was purchased for the specific purpose of building affordable housing in the community. And the church has taken a holistic approach. They're envisioning a grocery store and, food desert in that area has been an issue, and other amenities. So I think we're all working together as a community, as a county and the city and the private sector to address affordable housing. So thank you for raising that, Commissioner Maddox. Okay, we'll take the vote again. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. So unanimous, it passed. Thank you so much. Mr. County Administrator.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioners, this next item, item 27, is an exciting one. I can't quite channel the level of Carrie Post excitement, but I'll give it a shot. But of course she's here and she'll be happy to speak to this item as well and answer any questions. Because the item before you, Commissioners, seeks your acceptance of the Tallahassee-Leon County Bicentennial Organizational Structure and Management Plan, the adoption of an enabling resolution which will establish a Bicentennial Steering Committee to recognize the 200th anniversary of our community in 2024. The Bicentennial is envisioned to be a community-wide celebration that engages all segments of the community to share residents' experiences and stories from their unique perspective. Commissioners, as you know and as provided to you in the background of this item, since 2019, tourism, the Division of Tourism, has been actively working in generating awareness of the Bicentennial and encouraging local organizations and residents to consider how they might support and participate in this anniversary celebration. As we approach 2023, now is the time to establish this steering committee to provide the necessary focus and leadership and resources, all under one structure to ensure a coordinated effort for this really important event for our community. So the proposed enabling resolution is before you. It includes representatives from organizations from throughout the community and anticipates additional participation through the use of specialized task forces. Again, we can speak to all of that. All of the information is before you. I just have to say that when it comes to Leon County celebrating our 200th and the staffing that we'll provide to this, we couldn't be better situated to have Carrie Post, our Director of Tourism, and Katie Cole, our Senior Manager of Marketing, both of whom served leadership roles in the state's 500 Viva Florida campaign back in 2013. So we're in great shape, and we expect big things, of course, and Carrie's team is prepared to launch the Bicentennial website next month and begin convening the steering committee to be a conduit and a collaborator and a facilitator for a 2-year-long initiative. And once the steering committee has completed their planning phases, commissioners, a last note, we'll be back to you with an item prior to the start of the 2024 anniversary year. So with all of that, we recommend options 1 and 2, and happy to answer any questions you might have. And we have no speakers on this item.
Thank you, Mr. County Administrator, for that exciting presentation, Bicentennial Process Planning Committee. I've got Commissioner Welch in the queue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will enthusiastically move options 1 and 2, and then would love to actually hear from Carrie if you want to share a little bit, but enthusiastically move options 1 and 2, and I have some comments, but I can hold those if you want to wait.
Thank you, Commissioner Welch. Is there a second? Thank you, Commissioner Coban. We'll go back to you, Commissioner Welch, for your comments.
Awesome, thank you. This is, obviously a fun and easy thing to vote on, and it's been brought to my attention that Carrie and Katie have experience in this celebrating anniversaries business. From the Viva Florida thing, right? I won't say what Vince said you guys were referred to as, but can I say it? The Viva Divas, Carrie and Katie. So we're going to Viva Tallahassee here pretty soon, and as a history teacher, is uniquely interesting to me. And at the last meeting, of course, we agreed to some funding to help the Historical Society put together some literature and some history books surrounding this. So all of us will be in office when this goes down, and I think there's a lot of interest in the community. I'm certainly interested in it. And I think this is a great idea and a great plan to let Carrie and our incredible tourism staff coordinate and put all this together. I'm super excited to see what y'all come up with and support you 100%. So enthusiastically support the staff recommendation and would invite, if I can, Carrie to come up and share with us if you want to, like, how you're feeling about it at the Madam Chair's discretion, of course.
Thank you, Commissioner Welch. Commissioner Minor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Like Commissioner Welch just said, I am very excited about this agenda item. Looking forward to 2024. Certainly going to vote for it. I wanted to actually congratulate Carrie Post and the Division of Tourism for bringing Willie Nelson to celebrate the city's 199th anniversary. He'll be coming March 4th, 2023. So a year early, but helping to kind of warm up things, right? So thanks, Carrie. Very smart. Very, very smart. That's it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Caban.
Yes, I would just like to commend Ms. Carey and her team, Deontay and Katie Cole, for all the work that you guys are doing. I know tourism is a large impact on our overall, economic development and revenue for our community. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Caban. And I just echo the sentiments in congratulating Ms. Carrie Post and Katie Cole. We know that you guys have already started to do tremendous work, and we know that with all your work on this bicentennial, that we'll all be excited and amazed. So thank you again for your hard work. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of options 1 and 2, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Minor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, Maddox. And I vote aye. So it's passed unanimous. Thank you very much. Next item, Mr. County Administrator.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioners, item number 28 seeks board approval of an agreement with Big Bend Cares to serve as operator of the syringe exchange program. As required by law, the item seeks approval of a letter of agreement with the Florida Department of Health for the operation of the program in order to prevent the transmission of bloodborne disease such as hepatitis, HIV. Commissioners, syringe exchange programs offer clean, unused needles and syringes in exchange for used needles. Florida statutes authorizes counties to establish a syringe program. However, the use of any state or local funding for the operation of these programs is prohibited. The board adopted an ordinance back in 2019 authorizing this program, and since that time, we've been working with the Florida Department of Health to identify a potential local partner to serve as the operator. In September, the Big Bend Cares Board, which is a nonprofit HIV AIDS service organization, notified the county of its interest to serve as the operator of the program. As presented in the item, Big Bend Cares would operate the program through privately funded grants utilizing a mobile health unit that would target the most at-risk areas of the community, such as hotels, and that sort of thing, frequented by injection drug users. With that, Commissioners, we anticipate the program beginning in the summer of 2023. We are recommending options 1 and 2. Happy to answer any questions that you might have. And we do have one speaker on this item, Paul Ahrens.
Ms. Ahrens, will you come forth, please, and give us your name and address? Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon to the commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. My name is Paul Ahrens. I live at 1706 Beechwood Circle North in Tallahassee. I'm a physician retired from the Florida Department of Health HIV/AIDS program and the Leon County Health Department. As you know, and as you've heard, in 2019, the Leon County Commission passed an ordinance authorizing syringe exchange after Florida lawmakers provided a statewide enabling statute at the urging of FSU medical students, the Florida Medical Association, and other public health advocates. I'm here today to express appreciation and gratitude to the Commission and to Big Bend Cares for, I hope, taking the next important step in bringing such harm reduction to our area. This is an indispensable component of current national and state initiatives to end the HIV epidemic. In addition to providing clean injecting equipment to prevent sharing that can transmit HIV, hepatitis C, and other pathogens, some of the interventions offered by syringe services programs include referral for HIV and hepatitis testing and treatment, and as a result, prevention of new transmissions by other routes, referral for drug treatment, distribution of naloxone or Narcan to prevent overdose deaths, wound care on-site or by referral to prevent complications like endocarditis, safe disposal of contaminated injecting equipment. As you heard, by law, no state, county, or municipal funds will be used to operate this exchange. Moreover, in the process of promoting individual health and saving lives, these services will potentially save the community and healthcare system hundreds of thousands of dollars. As of 2021, the year of the most recent official data we have, Leon County had 1,364 residents reported living with HIV, the virus that causes AIDS. 99 of those individuals, 7%, had acquired the virus related to sharing injection equipment. We don't have an exact figure of how many injectors live in our county, but studies have shown that only a fraction of them already have HIV or hepatitis C, which is transmitted the same way. Let's say that 10% of people who inject drugs have HIV. That's a plausible estimate and suggests that there could be 1,000 others in our county not yet positive for whom this program represents a way to avoid acquiring HIV and other bloodborne viruses. So special thanks to commissioners and staff, past and present, Big Bend Cares, medical students, other advocates, Florida Department of Health and of Children and Family Services, the Leon County Health Department, local law enforcement and public safety agencies, the Florida Legislature and Administration, and the Florida Harm Reduction Collective, all of whom have been instrumental in this effort. South of us, 8 of Florida's 67 counties have joined us in opting into the Serena Services model passed by the legislature and pioneered by the successful Idea Exchange in Miami. One more sentence. This is a moment to be proud that our community is taking the lead in this part of our state in a brave endeavor to affirm the value and quality of life of those who live here. Thank you very much for your attention and for your votes.
Thank you, Dr. Aarons, for being here, providing that valuable information this afternoon. Commissioners, we have this item before us. Is there any discussion? If not, I will entertain a motion.
I will move to adopt staff recommendation option 1 and 2.
Thank you, Commissioner Caban. Is there a second?
Second.
A second by O'Keefe, and second by Commissioner Caban. Is there any discussion? Commissioner O'Keefe, thank you.
This is only my second meeting, but I like it because every time I talk, we get to talk about how much we like what people are doing, and now we're going to vote for it. I'd like to speak for myself. I want to thank Dr. Paul Aarons for advocating for this and for reaching out ahead of time to advocate for this. And I want to thank Big Ben Cares for stepping up. We've wanted to do this for a few years, but we hadn't had a partner. And this is just something that is smart, effective public health. And if you're looking at budget-wise, it costs the county nothing, but the savings of public health crisis from overdose and health issues in emergency rooms and hospitals that can be prevented is incredible. Never mind the positive impact that providing referral to treatment programs and providing both protection for people who use IV injection and their friends and family members who are affected by that. And so this is smart, common sense public health stuff, and we're very fortunate to have Big Ben Cares.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Keefe. No other comments? And I'll just weigh into very briefly. I just want to commend Big Ben Cares. I remember this issue came up last year, and we did not have an entity that was able to step forward. And so I just appreciate them. I think that the health, safety, and welfare of our citizens in Leon County will be promoted by this particular initiative. We've got a motion and a second. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Chairman Maddox. Chairman, thank you. I believe I vote aye. So it unanimously passes. Mr. County Administrator.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Next item.
Commissioners, the next item before you, item number 29, seeks your approval to appoint commissioners to the Affordable Housing Committee, the Appalachian Regional Planning Council, the Canopy Road Citizen Committee, the CRTPA, COCA, as well as the LCRDA. I know that's a lot of acronyms, but you know what they are. And with that, Madam Chairman, I will hand it off to you to facilitate the board's votes.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. County Administrator. And I think we'll just go, don't you think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just go each one?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Minor, yes, sir.
If I may, we've got 6 different appointments here, and I thought about maybe going in order, but it might make more sense to take a look at them holistically because some take more time than others from different commissioners. There's one in particular that I was hoping I might have a motion to be appointed for. I've done nearly a decade of work in the tech business sector before I became a public sector person. And the Innovation Parks mission is really to, number one, develop a thriving research park, grow the local economy by attracting the private sector with commercialization opportunities. There's also a third tenet to this, which is to, if you do research on research parks, the successful ones take graduate students and undergraduate students and funnel them into the research park. And then what happens, the successful ones are actually to keep those graduates. More than 50% of those graduates stay in the park after they graduate. Either they work for the university still at the park, or they join the private sector at the research park. So there's a great opportunity to do some tremendous good to reduce the brain drain here in Leon County. Over the past few weeks, I've met with 9 of the 11 Board of Governors on the research park for the LCRDA to talk about some of the vision that is being discussed. And I think I'd be a good candidate for it. So I'm hoping that one of my colleagues might have a motion to appoint me to that LCRDA.
Commissioner Welch.
Madam Chair, if I would make that motion to appoint Commissioner Minor to the LCRDA.
Okay, so hold on one second. So where are we? I wanted to just go straight down the list, so we don't.
I'll second that motion.
You know.
Well,
So
it's your pleasure, Madam Chair, however you want to do it. I think Commissioner Minor was letting us know that was the one he was interested in, but if you want to just do it one by one, that's fine.
Okay. So do we have a motion and a second on the floor? We do have a motion and a second on the floor.
There's a motion and a second for option 6 on the floor, and I believe I heard Commissioner Maddox.
Okay, and the other thing I wanted to, in the motion is on the floor. We got a motion and a second. But I just wanted to throw it out to the commissioners as well. We look at who's already on the various committees, but recognizing too that we've got Commissioner Proctor, who isn't here, and Commissioner Maddox is on the phone. So I didn't know if we might want to defer this until we've got a full commission. You know, is that unprecedented?
Madam, we have a quorum, and we have Commissioner Maddox on the line.
Okay. So it doesn't matter if we don't have everybody, in chambers. Okay. All right, well, we got a motion on the floor for, let me go back.
Option 6.
So we start from the bottom going up to the top.
Like Drake.
Okay. Or option 6, Commissioner Command, you have a comment?
Yes. My opinion is I think it would be more just, we have Commissioner Proctor who's not here currently because he's sick. And so I think that this conversation would be more fit if Commissioner Proctor was here in the room and be able to discuss any viewpoint of potentially a board that he would like to sit on versus potentially, us having conversation without 2 of our colleagues here.
Right, yeah, I was just thinking the same thing,
Because
but
they're not,
it's the pleasure of the board.
they're not here on their own will, from my understanding. Commissioner Proctor's sick. And so I think it'd be more fair if all of our colleagues were here to be able to participate in the conversation.
Let me ask the county administrator, is there a rush in doing the appointments, or would it be an issue if we waited until our meeting in January and hopefully we would have a full body of commissioners?
I honestly, commissioners, I think that's the prerogative of the board.
Okay, so it wouldn't be an issue if we waited or if we went on now?
No issues that were insurmountable to us.
Right. And I'm just echoing the sentiments of Commissioner Caban too, and I sort of feel the same way, maybe out of courtesy. And I know that even though
Madam Chair?
Commissioner...
Madam Chair?
Oh, yes,
I'm sorry.
okay. Commissioner Maddox, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Attorney, am I in good standing to make a motion from telephonically?
Motion from what?
Madam Chair, yes, you're allowed all the same privileges. You just can't break a tie. That's the only constraint when you are participating telephonically, according to the board policy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm sorry, Madam Attorney. So, Madam Chair, what I'd like to do is, and I do appreciate Commissioner Meyer's expression, and I have listened to what you had to say as well, Madam Chair. I do think it's a decent point that all of us be there and allowed to kind of weigh in on this thing. I mean, I wouldn't have as much of a problem because I am on the telephone. If I wanted something, I could say so. And I do have an interest in the LCDRA piece there, but it is what it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a motion that we postpone this item to the January meeting, to where that way it gives Commissioner Proctor an opportunity to speak on his interest on what potential committees he'd like to sit on. And I would also say, though I do have some interest in LCDRA, I would, if I would yield to either, because Mr. Administrator, that's in District 2, correct?
Yes, it is.
Mr. Administrator?
Yes.
I would yield to either Commissioner Proctor because of his seniority and on this board if he wanted to sit on the LCDRA or to district commissioner that it sits within. And so for that reason, I would not feel comfortable moving forward today, or if I had to move forward with the motion on the floor would likely be I will vote in dissent, not knowing where my senior commissioner is. And I think Commissioner Caban has kind of already made clear that, with his statements, I'm assuming that he's not as interested. So my motion again, Madam Chair, is that we postpone this item until the January meeting. And in that meeting, hopefully we'll have Commissioner Proctor able to attend either in person or telephonically to hear kind of his interest on where he would like to serve and as far as these boards are concerned.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Madam County Attorney, I have a motion and a second on the floor. Would Commissioner Maddox's motion be substituted? Or?
That is a proper substitute motion, but would require a second.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Commissioner
Madam Chair, in the spirit of what the point that Commissioner Maddox is making and Commissioner Caban is making, in the spirit of that, of everyone being together, I'd be okay with withdrawing my second on the motion. I want to thank Commissioner Welch for making the motion in the first place, but it makes sense. We can postpone this to January.
Thank you. So,
Do
Commissioner
you need me
Command-
to withdraw my motion?
Yes.
I shall withdraw my motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner
Madam
Maddox.
Chair, I would make that. Madam Chair, that would make my motion the main motion on the floor to postpone the item until the January meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe Commissioner Command second. Did you second his motion? Yes, thank you. So we've got a motion and a second to postpone these particular appointments until our January meeting. You ready for the question? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. And I vote aye. So it's unanimous. Thank you, Commissioner Maddox and all commissioners. Mr. County Administrator.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioners, your final item on general business, item number 30, seeks board full appointments to the Audit Advisory Committee. Option 1 provides for your consideration eligible applicants for the board to consider. Again, we're seeking 2 citizens, and as you'll see there, we have 3 eligible applicants for your consideration, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. County Administrator. I have Commissioner Minor in the queue.
Agenda item.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Commissioners, I believe we need to look at the recommendations. Commissioner O'Keefe.
Thank you. As the resident accountant and auditor on the commission, I'll start us off I suggest we have first, I would like to make the motion to appoint one of the seats to Deidre Melton.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that Ms. Deidre Melton be appointed to one seat. We've got 2 eligible applicants. All those in favor? Well, no. Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Is there a discussion? Yes, sir.
I just want to say that looking at the resume of this applicant, one, they're currently serving, and they have the most impressive resume of the applicants. They serve in the Chief Risk Officer role for Florida A&M University and have a very strong background. And so I didn't want to vote for them without making sure that they were publicly acknowledged for how well they do.
Thank you. We've got a motion and a second for Ms. Melton to fill one of those seats. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Maddox. Well, I vote aye, so that's the majority. Now, there are 2 seats.
Aye.
Thank you. There are 2 seats, commissioners. Is there a motion? Commissioner O'Keefe.
I would ask if, and someone interrupt me if I'm breaking the rules, are either Kenneth Chamber or Thomas Duncan present and want to speak for themselves?
Are either Mr. Chambers or Mr. Duncan present? They're not.
Okay.
And I have no speaker.
We don't have no speaker cards for them.
Okay. Then I will move to appoint Thomas Duncan. This was a tougher decision, I'll say, in my view, but I move to appoint Thomas Duncan for the second seat.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you, Mr. Caban, second. All those in favor to the appointment of Mr. Duncan as the second appointee, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Maddox? Well, I vote aye, so the majority has spoken. Thank you, commissioners. And I believe that's it for that particular item.
Yes, Madam Chair, that concludes your general business agenda.
Thank you, Mr. County Administrator. Now what I would like to do is go into comments. Well, we can do commissioner comments, or perhaps maybe the county attorney comments, if there are any, and then the county administrator, and then we will move to the commissioner comments if there are any. Any items from the county attorney?
No, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam County Attorney. Are there any items from the county administrator?
I have nothing, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, we'll move into, since we still have a little time, into discussion from the commissioners. And I'll just start to my left, Commissioner Welch.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And let me first say I am very happy with your pace. I mean to tell you, I'm liking this 4:30 general business is done stuff. I want to say thank you, or I want to publicly acknowledge the retirement of Kevin McGordy at Tall Timbers. I had the opportunity to go out there and present a proclamation to him, and thank you all for agreeing to approve that. Kevin is an icon, really, in land conservation and preservation, and has spent, I think it's like 28 years at Tall Timbers, and was the director of the Conservancy, which, you know, obviously that Red Hills ecosystem is a big part of my district up in Northeast Tallahassee. So I wanted to say congratulations again to Kevin on his retirement. And thanks for letting me come out there to that incredible piece of God's work out there at Tall Timbers on Lake Ammonia. As sun was setting, it was a really great event. So congratulations, Kevin. Also wanted to encourage everyone to come out this Saturday, the 17th, and help our friend and fellow elected official Daryl Jones fill up his Stuff the Bus, Stuff the Truck event. They were out there this past weekend at the Joanne Fabrics on Thomasville Road across from the Whole Foods Plaza, collecting new unwrapped toys and coats for young folks, and they're doing that one more time this Saturday the 17th. So I wanted to encourage everybody to do that and thank School Board Member Jones and OEV employee Jones for all of his heart for our community. Also wanted to thank our Public Works team for allowing myself and Commissioner O'Keefe, Commissioner Minor, and I believe it was Chairman Maddox come out and have some Thanksgiving with them a few weeks ago. Always a privilege to be able to be with our incredible team at Public Works and thank them for all the work they do and break bread with them. And also wanted to wish a happy belated but recent birthday to our chairman, whose birthday I think was like last week or this week, or I'm losing, it's all blending together for me at this point. So happy birthday, Mr. Chairman. And I guess, is this the last time we're going to be together before Christmas? Merry Christmas to all of you. It is a true privilege to work with you every day, and you know, getting to see your families and meet your families is an awesome opportunity, and I appreciate all of you and our new members. I'm really enjoying your camaraderie and being on the dais with you, and I hope you guys have an incredible holiday season and really spend some time with those you love. It's supposed to get real cold in the next 10 days or so leading up to Christmas. I just saw some more updates on that, so I know we'll probably be operating our cold night shelters, I would assume, Mr. County Administrator, and just tell folks to embrace some true seasonal weather coming up. So Merry Christmas, everybody, and thank you, Madam Chair. You're doing a great job.
Thank you, Commissioner Welch, for those comments. Commissioner O'Keefe.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have two things for today. One is I'm happy to share that this is the first commission meeting where I officially have an aide, and I want to embarrass that aide and thank Gary Zirin for staying on and joining our team, and just really appreciate that, and that he's willing to do that, and it's making this job a lot easier. I see what you guys get from having full-time aides. And the other thing is, it's kind of a piggybacking, but I figured I'd save it for this, ahead of our January meeting on committees. And I know we don't necessarily know each other's background. We didn't apply for jobs with a resume necessarily. And so I'll just mention that coming up for that I am very interested in the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee. I'm not alone in this, but have experienced housing insecurity, and it's been an issue that I have been interested in since in my teens then, and I'll dig into it whether or not I have a spot on the committee. And then just also to mention my interest in the Capital Regional Transportation Planning Agency, because planning in our transportation and moving that into the future in a smart way is important to me. But I know we'll all have what we're interested in. I just want to pitch those and say that for the folks on the, whoever ends up on the LCRDA, that if you ever want any inside dirt, let me know. I spent 3 years at the Florida State University Research Foundation, where we're a big partner managing their patent and IP in buildings out there. So, but I think we have a number of qualified commissioners already interested in that. So with that, I'll just thank everybody and zip it and say happy holidays.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Keefe. And again, welcome. We welcome your presence, participation on this commission. Commissioner Minor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Like Commissioner Welch said, great pace on tonight's meeting. You can call me Commissioner Maddox, Commissioner Minor. I don't care. I'm grateful that we're getting through this. Listen, I wanted to talk about litter for a bit. I think many of us have seen in the last couple months an increased amount of litter around the city, on Tharp and Monroe, but elsewhere too. And I think everyone here probably is very good about not littering. I think on Tharp you can have 500 people drive down the road, but if just 5 people throw something out of their car, it ruins it for everybody. So if you have a friend of yours that you think tosses something out of a car while they're driving, please say something to them. One of the great things about this community is that people have felt that it's clean and that it's a good place to live. And one thing that degrades that feeling more than anything else, I think, is a simple thing of litter. So please keep in mind out there, and please ask your friends who might be doing it to please stop. One thing that Jody and I, my chief of staff and I, toured 211 Big Bend last week, and I think many of you are very familiar with what it is. It's basically an umbrella organization, so people in need, for whatever type of need, can call 211 and get referrals to the type of resource that can help them. But I wanted to have a motion to have 211 Big Bend, their executive director, Tori Greer, come to us and make a presentation, probably sometime in January or February, depends on what is convenient for her. So I'd make that motion.
Second.
All right.
Commissioner Minor, would you, I guess, clarify that? I didn't really understand.
Yes, I'm sorry.
The
So
name.
what 211 Big Bend is it's a very effective organization. When I worked at Second Harvest, we worked hand in hand with them. And I think having them come and talk about some of the statistics that they've had here locally, as well as increasing public awareness of what 211 does, as well as the new suicide hotline, which has been around for a couple years now, 988. So having Ms. Greer come and present to us, I think be a good opportunity for us to see exactly what they're doing, what the latest statistics are in Leon County by category. So, housing versus food insecurity, what kind of calls are coming in at the most frequency.
Okay, so the motion is to have someone from 211 Big Bend to come and make a presentation.
Correct.
To the commission, and that's something, Mr. County Administrator, that you could orchestrate. So we do need a motion for that. Okay. Moved by Commissioner Minor, second by Commissioner O'Keefe. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next
Commissioner
thing is,
Minor? I'm sorry, Maddox?
Aye.
Thank you.
Next thing, the Big Bend Continuum of Care is doing their point in time count coming up on January 23rd. And for those who may not be aware, it's basically a all hands on deck. The Continuum of Care organizes volunteers with team leads to go out there throughout the entire community, the entire county, as well as the rest of the Big Bend, to actually go out to homeless camps and count the number of people who are struggling with homelessness. So we did that last year. It's happening again. January 23rd is the day. For those of you that might be interested in volunteering, it is a unforgettable experience to go with team leads and see some of these camps and talk with some of the folks that are really struggling from day to day. If you're interested in registering to volunteer, go to bigbendcoc.org/PIT 23. Excuse me, 23. And then lastly, I wanted to recognize Miss Christine Earp and her sons, Thomas Maxwell and Everett, right? Now, I wanted to tell the three of you, Thomas, Everett, and Maxwell, that because they're interested in local politics and local government, I wanted to warn you about that. But you decided to come anyway, right? So just wanted to recognize you all. Thank you for being interested in your local government. Really glad to have you here. And then finally, just want to wish everybody a happy holidays and a Merry Christmas. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Minor, for those comments. Commissioner Caban.
Yes, Madam Chair. I have two items I'd like to discuss. One, I'd like to request a proclamation for Duke Energy. They have been a very good corporate citizen to Leon County, and specifically, they went above and beyond to go out of their way to save a tree out of the Fort Braden Community Center. And so, if it's the board's will, I'd love to be able to make a motion to request a proclamation.
Is there a second? Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
No.
Next, I would like to make a motion on behalf of my constituents and neighbors out of Fort Braden. Well, I know there's a long list of them that I'm sure are planning to speak today. But my motion is to rescind the vote that was previously made by our board that changed the name of the Fort Braden Community Center.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion from the commissioners? No discussion from the commissioner.
I have a question from the county attorney. Irrespective of how we feel about the motion on the floor, are we required to have in order to have something that's not on the agenda placed on the agenda, a policy item, especially an agenda item we had before, are we required to have a vote to bring the agenda item back at a meeting so it's publicly noticed, or can we vote on this motion as it is?
No, under commissioner discussion time, the board can take policy action. The difference under the board policy is for that policy action to vote, it has to be a unanimous vote.
Okay.
Otherwise, there could be an alternative vote for an agenda item to come back, and that would just require a majority vote.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You'd like to speak on that item?
Madam Chair, I have
Commissioner Maddox.
Yeah, I had a different question. Madam County Attorney, are we in right standing with Commissioner Caban making that motion, given the fact that he was not on the board or part of the prevailing side when we originally took the vote? I know there's something in there procedurally about that. I just want to make sure that we're in right standing right now.
Madam Chair?
Yes, please, Madam County Attorney.
Thank you. Under the Roberts Rules of Order, that is a good question and a good point, Mr. Chairman. However, as our board policy was most recently revised to reflect, this board uses that as a guide, but is not required to strictly stay within the parameters of Robert's Rules of Order. Legally, it is entirely permissible. As long as there's a unanimous vote, no court would overturn the clear legislative will of this body on that procedural technicality.
Thank you, Madam County
Thank you,
Attorney.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, if I can.
You can continue.
Thank you. I just wanted to, of course, I'm going to go ahead and second Commissioner Caban's motion, but I also wanted to commend him on his efforts to go out to his district and his community and have conversation with his neighbors about this. If you remember correctly, we had a previous conversation where the neighbors came and we said we would, kind of let things settle until we got a District 2 commissioner in place, which is what the neighbors a lot of the neighbors were saying. I think it says a lot about Commissioner Caban and where he is with the district for him to go out and have that conversation with not just the neighbors being there, but also Commissioner Jackson's family being there to get some understanding about where we need to be. And so I wanted to applaud him on that and say job well done. Whether it went one way or the other as far as this is concerned, I think the way you did it, the way you went about coming to the conclusions here was the right vein to be in. For the neighbors there, if I could ask for anything, I would like for you to just appreciate the commission and the representatives that you have here that heard your cry, even if it was after, that heard your cry and was able to let a commissioner sit in place, have those conversations and bring some recommendations back to us. Jimbo was very important to me. He was very important to this commission. I'm not going to be bashful in saying that I was looking forward to having his namesake be placed out in Fort Braden, because I think he is the type of representative that of the other district that deserved it, that deserves it and deserved it. And so I don't back down from that. We were all very lucky to experience someone with his level of expertise and profession and the professionality that he brought to the table every time he sat at the dais. And so I didn't want to let this moment go by without expressing those things and letting you know that Jimbo Jackson was some of the best, or one of the best that I've served with as a commissioner, and really did a great job of trying to follow in the footsteps of an icon in Jane Sauls, who served for 20 plus years out there. So, I wanted to appreciate Commissioner Caban for what he did and the way he handled things. I do believe that was very much in the spirit of the way Commissioner Jackson would have handled it. But I didn't want to let this moment pass by without also saying that not just a colleague, but a friend deserved to be honored in some way out there. And I don't shy away from that. He was an amazing man and an asset to the community, not just Fort Braden, but our entire community in Leon County. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Maddox. Commissioner Caban.
Commissioner Maddox, thank you for the sentiment and the words. I truly do appreciate it, and I appreciate your support in this motion. My colleagues, as you can see, it takes a unanimous vote, and so I'd ask that you would support me in my motion for our neighbors of Fort Braden.
Thank you. Any other commissioner? Commissioner Welch.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question was back to the process point, Madam Attorney. Since Commissioner Proctor was in the affirmative on this vote, does he not have to be here on this? That unanimity does not apply because he's absent?
No, that's not an issue.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner O'Keefe.
I just want to I just want to copy what Commissioner Maddox said and commend Commissioner Caban for jumping in head first right away and doing well and representing his district. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Keefe. Commissioner Minor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Same thing, Commissioner Caban. Just wanted to commend you for your diligence and really reaching out to your constituents during the campaign, but since the campaign as well, to get the sense for what people wanted. And Mr. Maddox, I agree with everything you said about Jimbo. He was definitely an outstanding commissioner, a good human being, and we will find another way to recognize him. So, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Minor. Any other comments? I'd just like to weigh in on this issue as well. First of all, I'd like to thank the members of that community, the Fort Braden community, for coming out, speaking to us, reaching out to me on the telephone. I recognize that there are some there are some significant memories as it relates to that particular area. And I specifically had a friend of mine, friend of the family, I've been friends with a long time, Mr. Louis Mage reached out to me. He called me. We talked a long time about the history of Fort Bradenton, and I value his opinion. I value all of you all's opinion, but he just had so much history, and he even knew about where the name Bradenton came from. So I just appreciate you all being involved in the process. I want to commend, as the other commissioners, Commissioner Caban, for listening, engaging the community. And one of the things we said a couple of months ago when this issue came up, and many of the citizens came and spoke to us, one of the things I said is that I was willing to wait until your district commissioner was elected and listen to his sentiments about the issue and go from there. And I'm prepared today to do that because I know he has listened. And as you know, I'm one of the at-large commissioners, clearly concerned about the issue, but I'm willing to support Commissioner Caban's recommendation, and I certainly support that motion as well. So I just want to thank you all for reaching out to us. Thank Mr. Lewis Mage and his family for reaching out, and all of you all that live in that area that have called us individually and expressed your sentiment about it. We love Commissioner Jackson. As I said before, he was one of the first commissioners that reached out to me and embraced me when I became a new commissioner. I sat next to him the entire time up until his death. So he and I had a good, positive relationship. He loved the community. He loved his family, loved his children, loved his wife, and he loved Fort Bradenton. So I am prepared to. We've got a motion and a second. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Maddox?
Aye.
Thank you, and I vote aye, so it's unanimous. Thank you. Anything else, Commissioner Caban?
No, Madam Chair.
I apologize. You have any other comments?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. I would just like to thank our county administrator and the staff for all the hard work that you all have done throughout the year. You put on events that a lot of the general public is not familiar with. But most recently, Commissioner Welch and Commissioner Minor and I and Commissioner Caban, we participated in the parade, the holiday parade. They did a tremendous job in updating our float. But I must admit that the city has a lot more money than the county does. We need to step up a little. The city's float was beautiful.
Their float outdid us. Their float outdid us.
But just thank you all for your hard work.
Newsflash, the city owns the utility that puts on the parade.
What was the newsflash?
I saw Grinch on the back of their float.
But anyway, you all do a tremendous job, and I just want to commend our county attorney. She keeps us straight. She's always on point with the law. Thank the county administrators for just having great people, great staff. Thank Alan Rosenweg. He's always there. He's a great employee, and he's usually in the shadows of the county administrator, but he knows we love him. He does a great job. I just thank all of you all for being concerned about the citizens of Leon County. And when you all bring the agendas to us, when we have our agenda review, when we have items that are mentioned in the commission from commissioners, the county administrator doesn't hesitate because we're looking out for the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Leon County. So I certainly wish each of you Merry Christmas. As county staff, administrators. I wish all of our citizens, those of you that take time out of your busy schedule to come down here and let us hear your voice. And it means a lot because we represent you. You voted for us, and we certainly represent your interests. So I want to wish each one of you all a Merry Christmas and a happy and prosperous New Year. So thank you. Mr. County Administrator, anything else? We have, Commissioner Maddox, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. You were so eloquent in your speech. I didn't want to say nothing. I do want to ask for a proclamation. I have to ask for a proclamation. Two, actually. One, celebrating Elder Chris Burney on being elected state president of the Primitive Baptist Church. I make a motion for a proclamation on that on that subject.
It's been moved in second that we have a proclamation recognizing Elder Chris Burney. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, and I vote aye. It's unanimous, Commissioner Maddox.
And my second proclamation is recognizing January 2023 as Human Trafficking Awareness Month to be presented at the January Commission meeting.
Thank you. It's been moved and we have a second. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
And I vote aye. It's unanimous.
Thank you. Happy holidays to everyone in commission and out of commission, everybody watching. Hope you have a prosperous Christmas and New Year. This is just the athlete of me coming out, but I did want to make mention of just the successes that we saw this year with our respective two football teams here with Florida A&M University as well as Florida State University. So proud of what those young men were able to produce on and off the field, showing character on and off the field. So I'm excited about the prospects there of next year, especially with so many young men deciding to come back. I don't think we know how important that is, where you can go out and potentially make millions, but you make a decision to come back, finish your degree, be a part of the community, and be a part of a great team. So I'm just elated about the product that both Coach Willie Simmons and Coach Norville are putting out here in Leon County when it comes to our collegiate football teams here. I want to congratulate all the state champion football teams that came up and won last weekend. We were able to host the high school state championships here. I think it was 1A to 3A. We were able to to host here. A tough loss by Florida High. Went in undefeated, played their hearts out, but could not pull it out. But we're proud of them. They're one of us. They're some of our young people here, so we're proud of what they were able to do throughout the season this year. Madam Chair, I want to thank everybody for the prayers for my wife as she's going through her surgery. She's doing well. She actually it was a lot less invasive than I thought it was going to be, and she's recovering well, sleeping right now as I work. I have a baby girl with a birthday coming up on the 16th. You guys, Miley Maddox will be turning 11 years old, and she's requested a new phone. So if anybody wants to donate to that, I will be accepting such. These iPhones 13, 14s and all that kind of stuff. She wants AirPods too, y'all. It's the older they get, the more expensive the gifts get, So I just wanted to tell my baby girl happy birthday here publicly and let everybody know how much I love and appreciate her. She's my little twin. And finally, Madam Chair, prayers for our dean, Commissioner Proctor, that he is doing well and recovering in his illness tonight. Madam Chair, thank you so much for asking for prayers for him as he deals with his medical condition there. So again, happy holidays, everyone. Madam Chair, you did a heck of a job. I'm just trying to make you go until 5 so I can say that I drug us out here. But no, really, you're doing a heck of a job getting us through tonight, and I appreciate you stepping up and being chair tonight for us. Last but not final, as a good Baptist preacher would say, I just wanted to reiterate again just how proud I am of us as a commission. It's just the first couple of meetings, but I see everybody taking their place and gelling together, we've been lucky at the county to really be able to as the board has changed over years, find a continuity that allows us to debate the issues, sometimes be on different sides, but do it in a respectful manner. And I really do appreciate the way we handle our business at the county. And I wanted to make a point of that by just looking specifically at how Commissioner Minor handled tonight with the board appointments, and his willingness to really look at the issue and say, okay, there was motion on the floor, but we can't wait until everybody gets here for us to have that conversation. But that's for the new commissioners that are here, that are with us now. That's the kind of board that we've been since I've been on the county commission. And that's the kind of board that we're showing ourselves to be today. And I'm so proud of the culture that we have as a board and the way we deal with each other. That being said, everyone, again, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we'll see you in 2023. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Maddox. We appreciate you, our chairperson, and we're certainly praying for you and your wife's speedy recovery. And we wish your daughter a happy early birthday, and we wish you a happy belated birthday. You all celebrate birthdays in the same month. So you get well, you take care of your family, and we're certainly sending our prayers to Commissioner Proctor. And I believe now we have a citizen that would like to speak. I'm going to turn it over to our county administrator.
At your discretion, Madam Chair, we just received a speaker card, Karma Harvey.
Ms. Harvey, if you'll come forward, please. Thank you for being here.
Karma Harvey, 16919 Bluntstone Highway, and evidently I have that ingrained in my head because I did it at our community meeting the other night. I just want to say thank y'all for hearing our voice, and we still want something named after Mr. Jackson. He was a very dear friend, and I really propose the new playground equipment because kids were his life. We all know that from the community. So I would like for y'all to look for that, and maybe if you, with these trees that we're getting from Duke, doing an honor in his name with a plaque on that, or a plaque in the community center. But we just want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts from the community. Merry Christmas.
Thank you so much for those comments. And let me apologize to my commission aide came and whispered in my ear and told me that I was mispronouncing Fort Braden. He said I was saying Fort Bradenton. Is that what I said? He said I continue to say Fort Bradenton, so I apologize. I know that it's Fort Braden. I know it's Fort Braden. Okay, we have, thank you all for coming. We will take a recess. We have public hearings that have been noticed for 6 o'clock. Commissioners, we want to be in our seats prior to 6 o'clock so that we can start properly. So we will take a recess. Thank you.